The Spyro Reignited Trilogy Nintendo eShop page has gone up, and there's a few good bits of information on there, including the size of the game. We're going to talk about that today, so stick around for that.
Here comes Spyro.
Isn't it amazing that when you finally get around to doing something which you've just not had a chance to do, i.e. record the Crash Team Racing vs Mario Kart audio to edit it and upload it, some more news drops, but I'm very excited to report this news to you. This is the Spyro Reignited Trilogy eShop page. We have the file size. We also have the information that the game is going to support cloud saves, which I'm very happy about. But today we have to talk about that file size because it raises some questions. Now I'm very happy about it overall because it's only going to be 6.2 gigabytes. That means that if you want to download this game digitally, which I don't think I'm going to do because I own it digitally on Xbox and I'd quite like to have the case. It's not going to take up a great deal of your Switch's 32GB memory. I think 6.2 is magnificent, really. But there's a few things we have to talk about. So firstly, some people seem very worried about this. They see 6.2GB and what it's been shrunk down to from the PS4, which was a lot bigger. And also compared to the other Crash games, like the Insane Trilogy was a bigger file size than this, I believe. And they think, oh god, what have they stripped from this game? Honestly, do not worry about it. They have done this before. They have shrunk games down to work on the Switch. I think it'll run perfectly. I still think it'll look great on Switch. I think it will sound great on Switch. I would not worry about it. They wouldn't have made the file size so small if it was going to compromise the game. So I'm not worried. I mean, maybe it'll come back to slap me in the face and the game will look crap, but I don't think it will. However, the biggest question I now have is regarding the day one download situation. This situation I was already interested in. I was wondering how big it will be. I made a whole video on it where I got the file size of the game remarkably wrong because they've done such a good job of shrinking it down that it's way smaller than I thought it could be. But we expected the file size to be, I don't know, about 10 gigabytes. We expected it to be above the 8 gigabyte cartridge size that I thought they'd use. Now, if you understand cartridge sizes, which, you know, I do slightly, but you know that there's like I think there's a 4GB cartridge, there's an 8GB cartridge, and there's a 16GB cartridge, there's a couple smaller than that selection, and there's a couple bigger. But we thought that Activision would use the 8GB cartridge because they use that for the Insane Trilogy, and I think they use that for the Crash Team Racing game. So, do the maths. If there's a 10GB game, which we thought it would be, and an 8GB cartridge, we thought there'd be a day one download of about 2GB or whatever. Whatever I said, I can't remember exactly what I predicted. But with this news, that the game is only going to be 6.2GB in size, it does beg the question, why do we need a day one download? Now, us in Europe may not have this. I'm sort of a little bit more convinced that we won't have the download in Europe because, you know, the cover art of the Switch version of the Reignited Trilogy in Europe doesn't say the day one download from a lot of the things we've seen. But in North America, we know there's a day one download because on the retailers for the North American version of the game, it says requires a day one download. Now, the only answer to this is that they're not using the 8GB cartridge, at least in North America. In my opinion, if they were using the 8GB cartridge, no way would this game need a day one download. Instead, it does raise the possibility that they are using the 4GB cartridge, and therefore you're going to be looking at a day one download of 4.2, maybe a little bit more. Sorry, not 4.2, 2.2 or maybe a little bit more, maybe 2.3, maybe 2.4 gigabytes for the Nintendo Switch version of the Spyro Reignited Trilogy, which is kind of a bit rubbish. Now, I've praised Activision a lot with the Spyro Reignited Trilogy and the Crash Insane Trilogy. You know, whether I've been talking about it on YouTube or talking about it with my friends, I think the value for money in these games has thus far been exceptional. You know, £35, we've got this on here, the Spyro Reignited Trilogy digital download. £35 for 3 really fun games, and if you've not played them, you know, they're great to dive into, there's lots to dive into, and if you have played them, then it's just great to go back, and for £35, I think that's a really fair price. But if Activision are using the 4GB cartridge, it's, it's just slightly rubbish. I'm not going to sit here and slate them for two reasons. One, like I said, I think overall the game's a very good value. And two, we don't know if they're actually using the 4GB cartridge, and it might all come out in the wash, I don't know, we'll have to see. I want to know what you think though. Do you think they'll be using the 4GB or 8GB cartridge, and if so, how do you feel about that? Do let me know down in the comments. If you have enjoyed today and want to see more Spyro content leading up to the Spyro Reignited Trilogy's release on Switch and beyond, we've got videos planned for the future of Spyro, do consider subscribing to the channel. And yeah, if you have enjoyed and want to see more of these videos, hit that like button, it helps me out so much. Thank you very much for your time today, and I will see you in another video soon.